One of my favourite films of all time is the Lord of the Rings trilogy. It's a series of films I could watch over and over again, time and time again. I never get tired of watching it, and all those sort of epic scenes that are in there, that sense of good overcoming evil. And underneath it all, there are a significant number of sort of Christian themes that run through the whole trilogy. It's a series that I absolutely love. And in the final chapter of the trilogy of the films that we see is called The Return of the King. And here we see the ultimate victory of good over evil. We see that sense of the ring being destroyed, the power of evil being destroyed and thrown into the fire. And as a result, the king can be crowned and bring in a whole new reign. It's a tremendous image. And it's an image that we can take straight out of the Bible. It's an image of the last things. And this is a new sort of series that I want to move into, looking at what the Bible has to say about the last things. I have to say that this is also a moment where I had an old pastor who described a film once. It was a martial arts film, and there was this corridor, and along this corridor was a whole sheet of rice paper. And the apprentice warrior was challenged to get from one end of the corridor to the other without tearing the rice paper. Such was the delicate nature of what he had to do. And I'll be honest, I feel a little bit like that in looking at this. In this series we can only scratch the surface, but I feel like I'm dancing on rice paper because there are so many things that debate amongst Christians and so many debates over the years. But what does the Bible have to say about the last things? So far in our series, we've focused on Jesus. We've looked at the evidence for his life. We've looked at his birth, his life, his death, his resurrection, his ascension. We've looked at the sense of him being the judge. But one very important part of Jesus is to realise that he is the coming king. He is that sense of the return of the king will happen. And subjects of sort of the afterlife and Armageddon and all sorts of things like that, apocalyptic type themes, is a subject that Hollywood just loves to have fun with. You see so many films, whether it's The Day After Tomorrow or all sorts of different films that pick up all these themes. And we see within the world a real fascination in the last things. But we also live in a world today which has all sorts of things going on that it's struggling with. We were challenged in Genesis 1 and 3 to be stewards of the world that God created. And today people look at the world, they look at what's going on, they wonder what the legacy is that we're going to leave for our children. We're facing this pandemic called coronavirus, and there's all sorts of things that come out of that in terms of what might be happening, might not be happening, and how do we respond as Christians to the challenge that's actually fundamentally changing what we do. We face as Christians today challenges of diversity, where people would oppose Christianity, claiming that we're biased. And then we've got the challenges of globalisation, so many things going on across our planet, the ozone layer, global warming. What does the Bible have to say? Because it's very easy as Christians to be afraid. It's very easy as Christians to worry about the future. That's why it's really important that we begin to have an understanding of what we should respond as Christians to this subject of the last things. Over the years, I've observed many Christians having one of two responses. There's either a complete unhealthy interest and fascination in supernatural things, or conspiracy theories, or end times thinking, or there's a complete dismissal of it as being a whole load of hogwash. We see people consulting horoscopes or interested in what Nostradamus has to say, or looking at the Bible to find some sort of hidden secret Bible code. As Christians, it's very easy to be afraid, but God doesn't want us to be afraid. He doesn't want us to be fearful of the future. He doesn't want to be uncertain. And the Bible is his story, it's history. And through that, we actually see that God's voice speaks into what's going on. We've already looked at that sense of a personal eternity of what happens when we die. But the Bible also teaches us something about last things. And maybe you've heard terms such as the second coming, Armageddon, the mark of the beast, the millennium, things that we sometimes struggle with. How do we respond to questions of the rapture? Where does Israel fit into all of that? Subjects of heated debate that's caused enormous division amongst Christians over the years. But as we study it and as we try to unpack it a little bit, I'm going to try and present a balanced view that different people might have. I'm sure in some of that, some of my own personal understanding of the Bible will come through. And you'll have to forgive me for that, but I will try and present a balanced approach, because I believe the more we understand about it, the more our faith will be strengthened, and we can have a good response to God and how we act. It can give us hope and certainty, a sense of assurance to help us with our walk, but also in understanding the gospel message helps our witness. Jesus is the coming King. He is the returning King. And for us to spend some time looking at that, I pray will help us to have a deeper appreciation for what it is that waits ahead of us.